Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Channel. From the Sugar Shack World Headquarters, it's the In Wheel Time car talk show. Just ahead, the Emmons brothers, one of them anyway, Jerry, from the Emmons Autoplex in Webster. We're going to talk about the used car market. In the market for a used car, well, these guys have got their fingers on the pulse of the used car market, and they're going to tell us all about it. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic, and later we discuss the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Stay with us for hour number 3 of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with David Ainsley. That's David Ainsley. Mike out of this world, Mars, is still under the weather, COVID-ridden. But we also have with us today in the studio, live and in living color, ladies and gentlemen, King Conrad DeLong, and the always ever popular Jeffrey. We need more Jeff Zekin. Thanks so much for joining us today.
And you are?
I am Donald Duck, and I'm glad to be here.
Right.
All right, that's
our
all.
Hall of Fame member.
Okay. Yeah, that was 2015.
It's okay. You're still in there, aren't you?
They
didn't kick you out yet.
I haven't.
You're actually in Conrad's head with that. So
yeah,
you can
apparently. So, at any rate, that'd be the Texas Hall of Fame. We don't want to Texas Radio Hall of Fame. We don't want to put anything else on it. It's just that's what it is. But thank you for noticing.
You've been inducted into it.
I was. Yes.
We're proud to have you there.
I'm an inductee. Isn't that what they call it?
Yep.
An inductee, or a member of. Therefore.
Their fine society.
Yes, David.
It's just a vote, so you have to get a lot of your friends to vote for you.
Pretty much.
That's what he did.
And I did actually.
I paid them all $20 a piece.
I actually did not. I did not do a thing. I didn't ask anybody to vote for me. I was not involved in that. I was not going to play that game. No. If I don't get in, okay.
So I texted Mars to text Mr. Emmons.
To remind him. Thank you.
I work out with Speedy.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
Y'all go to the same gym?
Yeah.
Good.
He's there 4 or 5 days a week.
Nice.
And you couldn't get him to call?
I don't even have his cell number.
Oh, okay.
he didn't know he was coming on.
Well, Speedy's not coming on. It's Jerry.
No, I mean, he didn't know the Emmons were coming on.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
There you go.
That's the end of the show. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
I do have an EV for next week in my segment.
There you go.
EV,
Gary's
EV
here.
part of an EV.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I can't tell it because it's going to be next week's thing.
Well, you can tease it.
It's tire-related. Tire-related EV.
Tire-related EV. So, in other words, take the rubber off the wheel and take the tire off that, and then just have steel on concrete.
No, that's not it.
Well, that'll get you a lot of
Call
gas.
it Sparky.
Uh-huh. Oh, look who's finally showing up.
Look at all the Wallies in the background.
You know, I've got space
Can you
back
make
here.
them Can you make them dance?
I've got a space for Wally right here. Still waiting on it.
You have to unmute yourself, sir.
There you go.
I got you.
Okay, that's much better. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Very well. This is the Jerry Emmons that we were talking about. That was supposed to be with us 5 minutes ago, but it's okay. We don't.
We had audio. I was trying to get my microphone to work. And
you're just fine. So
we're glad you joined us.
Before we get to the used car market, which is what we teased you with, I want to talk about the NHRA Sportsman division that you and your brothers race in. And tell me, we have the U.S. Nationals just right around the corner. Speaking of which, when do you leave?
We'll leave next Sunday.
A week from today.
We have everything. Pretty much everything is going along according to plan. We've had a couple of issues. We were supposed to go to the NHRA Nationals in Topeka, Kansas, last week, I believe it was. But we had some trouble with our trailer. We had a blowout a couple of months ago. So we sent our trailer to T&E, which is the manufacturer of our aluminum trailer. Unfortunately, when we had a blowout, it basically blew out the side of the trailer. So that was a pretty expensive
Lots of
situation. So
damage.
it's been there for a few months, and it came back in time, but we did have time to get the wrap replaced on 2 of the panels.
Did
So
what was it? Was it a tire failure, or did you just not
Yes.
change the tire in time and we're running on some Maypops?
Well, so this is the Emmons way, right? We like to save money in every avenue. So it's just when you buy these big trailers. So keep in mind, this thing weighs probably 70,000 pounds loaded, right?
Right.
So we have a golf cart. We have 4 cars that weigh 3,500 pounds apiece. Spare engine, a couple of spare transmissions, loaded down with fuel and water, things like that. So unlike a normal 18-wheeler, so this has 3 axles on the back, but they're called super singles, the tires that are on it.
Yep.
So the manufacturer tells you, okay, 3 years, I don't care what the tread looks like, 3 years you have to replace the tires. And we've been really good with that. And we've had a blowout here and there just because of circumstance. But this time, so this year was turning into year number 4 for the trailers on the tire. So, it's beginning of the year. So it wasn't that hot, and we were like, well, let's just wait. We'll wait before the summer comes, and we'll order the tires then. And so we were going to a race. It was like 10 o'clock at night. We're driving 55 miles an hour to North Dallas, going to Oklahoma, and the middle tire blew out. And when it did, it just basically, opened up the whole side of the trailer. So we had to.
Of course, how much air pressure is in that thing? 100 pounds?
125. That's the recommended air pressure.
So when it blows out, it literally blows out.
Oh, absolutely.
Plus, it flops around in there.
Yeah. Did you guys feel
luckily,
it? Did you feel it when it went?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the worst part was it was on the passenger middle and the rear. So when you're driving, you can hear it, obviously. And when you feel it, you see all the smoke and debris flying. So I wasn't going that fast. I was only going 50 or 55. So I was able to pull over rather quickly. I was just hoping there was no one beside me that was going to feel that or wreck because of it.
Yeah.
So I pulled over rather quickly. And I knew when I looked in the mirror and once saw the smoke kind of dissipated and that side of that trailer it was literally hung out like that.
Yep.
So I knew then we were in trouble. So we had to make it to the races like we did. And we, just kind of fixed it where we could drive it back home. But, it's been at the trailer company for 2 months.
Did you hire
job.
a wrecker to help you or bring somebody out to change the tire for you or something?
So anytime we have a situation like that, we just call the Love's Truck Stop.
Yep.
They're generally there at that time of night. They were there within 15 minutes. And it's it's not an inexpensive fix, right? So they charge you, I think it's like $500 for the service call. And we have a spare tire already mounted up on a wheel, but it's upstairs. So you have to unload one of the cars to be able to get the tire off the wall.
Understood.
And we've done that before, but just in the area we were in, a lot of traffic, we decided we'll just call them. And because not only that, so say I was to take the tire off the wall, use that one, just take the spare or the one that was on the trailer that was blown out. And I was just going to put it in the trailer. The problem is we have limited room in the trailer when everything's packed in. And this thing is just a mess. It came apart. And, you think, okay, I can just get something to kind of cut up the rubber and where I can store it. No, it doesn't happen. All the belts that are in that tire, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So the NHRA world champion was also driving the trailer.
I was driving the trailer. I was the one helping. I was changing it.
So
my brother Terry has one of those motorized anvil scooters. So it was like I said, this was like 10 o'clock at night, I guess, somewhere around there. And we were in a college town in North Dallas. So while I'm dealing with the Love's Truck Stop guy, he gets his helmet out of his race car, gets on his anvil, and goes to the local pizza parlor, grabs a pizza, brings it back. So we're eating pizza. And the Love's Truck Stop guy enjoyed that. He got a free dinner while we're changing the tire. But so I think it was like $500 for the service call, and then they charge us $495 for the tire. And at that point, what are you going to do? You're out there, mercy.
Get back on the road, yeah.
Work, so.
Yeah. Well, at least nobody was hurt and all was good.
No, exactly. That's what we were worried about.
Now, how are you guys doing in points now with all of your cars?
Well, we're doing right now. I'm number 1 in the NHRA Division 4, So we have been to 0 national events yet. So with the NHRA, and I may have explained this once before, NHRA allows the sportsman guy like us to go to 6 national events and NHRA national events, and you claim your best 3. On the NHRA divisional side, so it's all the little point races that you have to accumulate so that you're eligible to race the NHRA national events. NHRA says, okay, you can go to 8 of those, but you only take your best 5 claimers. So we've done really well. I'm number 1 in the NHRA Division 4 stock points. I have a pretty sizable lead with, I think, 2 races left for our division. We will travel out west because I have 2 more races left I can claim when I go out west. So I'm gonna finish up out there. Fingers crossed, we will win the division. And for stock eliminator, my older brother Harvey, otherwise known as Speedy, I think he's number 2 or 3 in the Superstock division points. And nationally, we're not really ranked up there yet, just because we haven't been to any national events. So once we start to go to the U.S. Nationals, then we'll go to Dallas National Event, the Vegas National Event, and the Pomona National Event. Then we'll accumulate our points, and hopefully, I don't think we'll see a World Championship run this year, but we'll definitely have a good shot for a top 2 to top 5 finish.
Cool.
So how many cars do you race on a weekend?
So I have 4, including myself, there are 4 brothers. So I'll run 2. So generally we'll have 2, 4, 6, we'll have 7 cars there. One brother drives 1, all the rest of them drive 2. So it gets pretty busy, but we have another enclosed trailer that hauls 2, and then we have another enclosed trailer with just 1. So everyone's driving something for the races.
Do they all run in the same class?
Mm-mm. Yes, sir. Stock and NHRA stock and NHRA Superstock. That's right.
Yeah. And do you have
they're all 69 Camaros. One of them has a 350 small block with a quadrijet carburetor, like what it came with back in 1969. The rest of them have 396 aluminum-headed engines with a Holley 780.
Big blocks.
That's the only way to go.
We're
in the process of we're going to convert one of the small block cars to a big block, probably in the off season. It's just because the class in NHRA Superstock, if you ever pay attention, the class generally is it's good for like 9.0s in the quarter mile to, well, let's just say 1050s is the slowest as you want to go. Well, our car, the one with the 69 Camaro with the small block in it that runs Superstock, only runs, 990s in good air, 10.0s in bad air. So our plan is to put a 396 in that one, and it will speed the car up to like 940s. That's the sweet spot of where you want to go. Just because in our handicap style racing, when you're getting chased by a faster car, if you're going, let's say, 1020s at 128, well, you're having to look over your shoulder. It depends what lane you're in. And you're having to judge a guy going, and you're going 128, 130. You're having to judge a guy that's running 150. Well, when you slow that gap down, it makes it easier to judge the finish line. And, because the idea is to take as little as possible at the finish line. So a good safe margin is probably 100th of a second, right? 0.010. But when you're in that 10, let's say 10 flat car going 130, 128, and you got a guy going 150, it's not easy to take 100th of a second to finish line. You have to really, really pay attention.
Because they even it all up with the staggered start.
That's correct. So we run off of a 5/10 sportsman style tree. So every yellow bulb that blinks down is 0.5 of a second. So when we dial in with shoe polish on our windows, let's say 10 flat to like a 950, well, that's half a second. So that will be figured into the timing system up in the tower. And then, so theoretically, if I have a perfect reaction time and my opponent has a perfect reaction time, and I run dead on my dial in, he runs dead on his dial in,
Cross the line
it's going to be a dead heat, right? Well, that never happens because there's always thousandths of a second, and very rarely do you have anyone that is perfect on the reaction time every time down the track.
Unless your name is Erica Enders.
Unless you're Eric Enders, yes, of course. Then why even show up?
Right, that's right, yeah.
So were your 69 Camaros, if my head's correct, aluminum block 396s, those were L79 cars, correct?
No, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, they were. Yes. Well, originally when we had them, they were all 350 small blocks, but you are correct. So we changed all those to that L79 combination for for that reason, because we want to speed our program.
But none of them were originally L79 cars.
That is correct.
Okay.
Right. They were all originally, I think every one of them was a 350 car.
Okay.
And what are you going to do with that small block race engine?
Use it for a boat anchor. No, I mean,
you are not.
There's still a market for it. I'm very, I'm hypersensitive. Someone asked me the other day, hey, because I had a 69 Chevelle that my father has had since the early 70s. And we just converted it to a big block. And while my dad was alive, he was always like, I love that small block. It was like a 350 small block with a power glide.
Yep.
So it's very uneventful down the racetrack. So we had talked about doing the big block combination to it. Oh, no, you're not. You never, this is fine. This is the way you race. And I agree with that. But the times have changed, and we have since put a 427 in that one. And that's a lot of fun to drive. So we do that just because it makes it a whole lot more fun. But someone had asked me the other day, hey, would you go back to race? Would you still race if you could go back to the way your car used to be, which was a small block? And I was going 1150s at 115 miles an hour, and the answer is no. Just because when I'm very competitive, and I want to have every shot to win, and I want to make sure the cards are stacked into my favor. So mentally, and also because I've been running a faster mile per hour, and I've seen what it has done to my program, just speeding the car up half a second, because it has offered and allowed a lot of success in my program and in my brother's. We realize that's the way to go. For example, you guys were talking about and I'll make this quick, the U.S. Nationals, right?
Yep.
If you pay attention, the U.S. Nationals, when round one comes along, there will be more cars dialed in because there's a lot of Cobra Jets, because the Copo Camaros, the Ford Cobra Jets, and the Dodge Challengers. All those cars are becoming more and more prevalent, and they're all in the 8 seconds to the low 90 range. So if you were to pay attention to round one of Stock Eliminator, after all the field disqualified, you will see over 50%. They're dialed in. At least 50% are dialed in the 9 seconds to the low 10-0 range. You'll have some of the slower cars in there, but it's just the sign of the times. Everyone wants to go faster.
So is there a philosophy to your qualifying? Because I kind of try and follow you and Speedy and the brothers and stuff. Some of you guys tend to qualify in the middle. Some of you guys tend to qualify a little bit lower, but I'm sure in your car there's an opportunity for you to qualify top 5, but you don't tend to. So is that a tactic as where you qualify to how you stack in the ladder later down the road?
Absolutely. So and that's a great question. So not all of our cars can run like a second under the index, and we don't want to run that fast anyway, because the NHRA will penalize you because you're going too fast. So because they want to make sure everyone's on the level playing field. So we try to make our cars run 7/10 under the national index. So that's a good safe zone where NHRA is not looking at you, and you're still qualifying in a good position. However, not all of our cars are able to go 7/10 under strategically, and when we need to move, sometimes you need to go 0.8 of a second under. Well, it's not easy with the changing of weather conditions. It gets warmer in the afternoon. But we do that so that we don't have to run each other early on during eliminations. So, like 2 of us will try to go higher, and then the other 2 will stay down towards the bottom. And as long as we're stacked on top of one another, you can be in different quadrants on the NHRA. They call it the seed ladder, right? So we do that. Everything is strategically done so we don't run each other to the finals.
Cool.
Interesting. All right, now before we go, I got to ask you, how's the used car business?
Well, it's okay. I use the word treading water, but it's okay. So last quarter, from last year second quarter to this year second quarter, we're down 12.5%.
Jeez.
Last year's third quarter, compared to what we estimate we're going to finish at, we're probably down 6.5%. And I think you guys are smart. You can relate that to the high interest rate. I think that's definitely curbed a lot of people from buying.
How's inventory?
Inventory is really good. We have no problem there. I think we're at 785 today. We'd like to keep it at 900, but it's not always that easy.
Right. And you're looking forward to hopefully business picking up at the end of the year?
Well, we're looking forward to it. Generally, around Thanksgiving to the Christmas time, everything kind of gets a little soft. But we seem to, as long as we have that $25,000 sweet spot in a car, we seem to be doing pretty well. The bad thing about that is you don't get a lot of back end. Whereas the later model, more expensive stuff, you can get you get some back end on the interest rate.
Sure.
And then some of the warranty stuff.
Do you do your own financing there, Jerry?
We have lenders that will finance for us.
Gotcha. Okay. And to let everybody know, it's Emmons Autoplex down in Webster. And right there along the Gulf Freeway.
Can't miss it.
Yeah, and we encourage you to, if you're looking for a used car, give old Jer a call down there or one of his associates.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Indy, so hopefully we have some good news to report. So we're racing for our 50th national event, Wally. And I told you guys before, the next national event we win is going on your
right here, baby. Going right here, baby.
Woo! We're looking forward to that.
We're always rooting for you.
Dust off this fall. We're going to have it ready for you.
All right. Jerry, hey, man, it's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Tell everybody we said hi down there. And good luck. We'll be pulling for you.
I sure will. Thank you, guys. We'll be watching your show while we're out of town.
Thank you, brother. Fun.
Very cool.
Hey, the In-Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production. Conrad has that.
So this weekend, NHRA is in Brainerd, and Minnesota, at the zoo. And Brainerd is Erica's number 3 at the moment after the second round of qualifying.
Yep.
Then August 30th through September 4th is the U.S. Nationals that Jerry was just talking about. IndyCar is next weekend. They're at Watkins Glen. NASCAR next weekend is Watkins, or this weekend is Watkins Glen.
Oh, my God.
Sorry about that. I'm reading my 20s and my 19s. And then Daytona, the second round of Daytona is on the 26th of August. Formula One is the Dutch Grand Prix next weekend, and then the Italian Grand Prix, the Forget About It Grand Prix, is September 3rd. IMSA's at Virginia International Raceway next weekend, and then IndyCar is at Gateway on the 27th of August.
Sure.
Okay. Youper. All right. Jeff has a feature this week on truck trains. Do you know what those are?
Just because my son lived in Australia for a while, and
well, there's certain parts, I think, of the United States that they're allowed, limited.
Right, and that's part of the discussion, because up in the UP, you see the double trailers. Some of them are FedEx or UPS,
right?
But these are the log haulers that they cut the trees down, they put them on there. I have seen the doubles, because they got singles, doubles, triples, and quads. So I've seen the doubles. They do run some doubles out in West Texas and in Western United States. But the Australian road trains, and I'm going to get this going. Did I pull it up? No. Here we go. The Australian road trains are the world's longest trailer configurations. Now, we did an episode about car haulers, boats, trains, planes, and I also did the dollies a few months ago.
Yes.
So that's all considered into this, and they're used in heavy haul trucking because the outback is very barren and huge. Most freight travels by road, and the Australian road trains are designed as the best way to move the freight. These trains are long truck configurations consisting of multiple trailers. And we just talked about the single, double, triple, quad. They're hooked by what's called a converter dolly. There are many forms of combinations, the most common being a 3-trailer combination. The longest road trains can be up to 174 feet long, David.
Try and pass that puppy on the highway.
Exactly.
Right?
120 tons. Now, very remote areas depend completely on the loads of goods that these road trains haul. It could be months in some places before the road train can get to them in these smaller towns. The Aboriginal communities in Australia totally rely on the road trains, because if you don't have a road train coming, you're not going to get any supplies or anything like that.
Virtually no rail system in Australia.
The outback is huge. As we discussed, the importance of the Australian road trains and the knowledge and skill of the drivers is also very important. If you're on a road and a road train's coming, the road train has the right of way. You will be off the side of the road if the road train's coming, and they don't stop.
Can you imagine trying to break all of that with the brakes. Oh my God!
Well, and there is
Very
a skill
carefully.
because the roads have been improved, and so have the trucks have been improved to do this. You got to be a skilled person. There are licenses to do this, different than the licenses in the United States to do CDL and all that other stuff. But there are many hazards of driving. There are people who have died on the roads out there. They get stuck, they lose gas or run out of gas, whatever the case.
Hit a
And
kangaroo.
they've also died out there, or just taking a selfie with a wallaby. You know, that'll get you. So there have been some improvements of the roads, and the modern trucks are also on improvement.
Yeah, noticed a lot of them generally have a pretty big cattle guard in front of them, just because they're not going to be able to react to an animal in the road the way you could with a small.
Wonder what kind of speeds they run.
They that wasn't in the research I did, but they do haul donkey. They do
haul
move.
donkey.
they
So
electric?
70 miles an hour top speed, I would imagine.
Probably more.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I
But
guess
there-
it,
but there's nothing out there. Austin
No.
drove through the outback when he went to Queensland from Sydney, and he said there is absolutely nothing. You need to get gas when you see it because you may be,
days
There's nothing.
away.
Yeah,
70
exactly.
miles between fuel stations.
Exactly.
Well, they should be electric. Put a big solar panel on there in the middle of the outback.
It's right around the corner, David.
David
Right
just
around-
solved the whole problem of the Outback.
There you go.
Absolutely. All right. I did want to remind you that if you'd ever want to get in touch with us, we don't know why you would, but if you did, just call, email info@inwheeltime.com, and one of us will get back with you.
Subscribe. That's even better.
All of that. Follow, subscribe, be one with us. All right. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after a quick break. We hope you'll stay with us. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants will have you telling your family and friends just what the original recipes mean when it comes to the best fajitas in Southeast Texas. Founder Stan Holt invites you to visit the original Loopy Tortilla near I-10 and Highway 6. Here's the original house that inspired the design of all the rest and the original charm that helped make Loopy Tortilla the go-to destination for Houston Tex-Mex. Speaking of original, nothing can compete with the original lime pepper marinade that everyone will agree makes Loopy Tortilla award-winning beef fajitas the best anywhere. Loopy Tortilla Katy is another location that gives you the same quality and service Houstonians have come to expect at Loopy's. It's located just off I-10 and the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard in Katy. Find yourself in Aggie Land? Head to the Loopy Tortilla in College Station, located just around the corner from Kyle Field. It's a great place to enjoy those famous frozen margaritas before or after the game. Headed east to Louisiana, stop in at the Loopy Tortilla in Beaumont. It too's on I-10. You can't miss it. The original group of Loopy Tortilla restaurants invites you in for the best Tex-Mex anywhere. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast
That's
channel.
it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.